Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Unlimited by LightNet. I'm Senka Caro, and I'm here with Tim Schwartz, and we've got an incredible conversation ahead of us tonight. You're going to learn about NFTs for tokenization of land. You're going to hear about Arcturia's Spaceship community centers. We're going to talk about life-changing experiences when you have major roadblocks in your way and how to get around them. We're going to talk about the Magic City of Innovation, if you haven't heard about that yet, Burning Man, Art Basel, all this crazy stuff. And Tim is one of the most inspiring people I know because he's been going toward his, your dream is so big. It's like so amazing. It's like, what if life was actually like this? And I'm like a deep yes in my mind. And you've been creating that reality for everyone. And it's so inspiring. And you're a walking inspiration for the world that we actually get to live in, one that's fun, one that's covered in rainbows, one that's love, one that's like it's exploration, it's galactic, it's community, it's crypto, it's blockchain, it's all these things that we want to step into, and you're making it real. So I'm super excited to have you tonight on the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So we're going to be doing breakout groups. So if you are listening to this live on Portal to Ascension or New Realities, our broadcasting partners, you can go to lightnet.org/hangout and get into the Zoom rooms. So I want to start out tonight by actually showing a video, a trailer to Tim's new movie that's coming out possibly sometime next year, mid-year. And it's been a documentary of your life over how many years?
12 years. So
12 years.
Basically, I've been searching for my purpose, figuring the meaning of why I'm here, and just started journeying around the world to try to find it. And you can get a little glimpse of my life in a little nutshell, a 3-minute little tidbit.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, I just read a statistic, and they said that 95% of the world doesn't know what their purpose is or why they're here. So it took Tim 12 years. It took me a long time, right? It's like
more than 12 years. I'm like 42, so for 42 years. And we're still not fully there, but we're closer. And
okay, guys, here it is. I'm going to play this out for you guys. Here we go. Oops, I'm going to make sure that I shared the sound here. So let's do this one more time. Here we go. Okay, enjoy. This is great.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? What's on the other side?
As a child, I lost almost every loved one that meant anything to me, including my father at age 11, and I died and came back to life at age 15. The only person I've ever really felt close to is my mom, who nearly lost her life as part of the People's Temple, aka Jonestown, the largest cult in U.S. history.
I've never felt safe in this world. I've never felt like I've had a home. So 11 years ago, I started filling my entire life trying to find community. And it all started here, at Burning Man.
My search for community brought me all around the world. I've tried competitive sports, getting into politics, and even random acts of kindness. And you know what? I didn't find shit. But I did make a lot of money in Bitcoin.
And now I can make a community of my own.
Step number 1, design the community.
A rainbow utopia. And at the center of it all, I'm building a fucking spaceship. Step number 2, take my van all around the country, looking for the perfect landing pad for the Starship.
Step number 3, build a prototype in my girlfriend's backyard.
She broke out with me. And finally, build the Starship.
I'm gonna start with the good news first. I'm starting a cult.
Only problem is, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Because you just traumatized those
For 6 months, don't bite down.
No, forever.
We're keeping our eye on this fucking rainbow van kid guy.
Right now, we're being discriminated against from a few problematic members in our community.
There's no streetlights in our city, and 8 out of every 10 residents own guns.
So the issue with your case would be whether or not your church would qualify as a religious institution.
I hear the county's going after you because you won't paint your shipping container brown.
I strongly object to the government finding you anything based on the color that you want to paint your shipping container.
You can either take the bull by the horns and lobby for some freedom there in your county, or you can go along and just paint the thing brown and be miserable.
You have passed House Bill 2507.
Thank you. Good news, guys. Our cult bill passed. Yeah, cult can become a religion now, and the government cannot impose any fees or regulations against any religious organization in Arizona.
I'm here to fight for color. I'm a rainbow warrior. And if I can't do that, someone blow my brains out. I'm a rainbow guru, bitch.
I think we're going to make Arizona the cult capital of the world.
I do suspect that this is some kind of a joke.
How often do you get them people thinking you're actually creating a cult on your social media and things like that?
People take things really literal in life, and it's sort of using art as the greatest way to be a change maker, and really leave people really thinking, what's real and what's fake. Not to mess with people, but for people to look a little deeper, because everyone takes things on such face value. What you say is exactly what it is, and we're living in multi dimensions. There's layers here, so it gives people that potential trigger to hopefully look a little deeper.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, using the humor to make us question the world. And the ironic part about it is that your mom said that she still misses Jonestown Cult because it was the one place for community, and that's what you've been trying to build with your Spaceship community, right? Like, how did that work? What's your attraction to? I mean, I always tell people Tim solving for loneliness, because that's essentially what you're doing, right?
Yeah, we're all living in these prison cells called our homes. We're so separated from each other, and we're all seeking something. We just don't know what it is. And really it's coming together, when I went to Burning Man this year, and I'm part of the Fly Ranch, which is their new community. It's 3,000 acres right next to Burning Man. And it was all people that are part of the Fly Ranch. I'm one of 50 selected projects. I got this really cool communal modular off-grid spaceship, Starship, that got selected to be built there, and there's 50 other people that got selected as well. So we started our little own camp there, and it was 30 people, and not just 30 people, but 30 real special people that are all doing like these regenerative, sustainable projects that involve a lot of art. And when I was there, I'm like, this is what I want. And right now it's really just recreating what I had there at Burning Man, and making that a model that people can pop into.
Yeah, I mean, that was the ironic part about what happened to you at Burning Man. You told your filmmaking crew, you were like, oh, we're done with the movie. Like, somehow the movie was about Tim building this gigantic 200-person village with the spaceship at the center to create community off-grid and have a central place, and people can park their vans, they have their tiny homes. But you found that you reach the essence of that with 30 people, right?
Yeah, and like it got to the place, there's all these revelations that happen along your journey, and I've done all these things, and the question really is like, are you living fully in really life, or are you living in front of a camera? And the camera's a drug. It definitely highlights reality. It makes things a lot more exciting, and it's you get a lot of attention. It's all these things, and that was my drug of choice. And I think it's affected a lot of my relationships. I think my last girlfriend, pretty much that was the main reason why we broke up. And it was sort of this crescendo in the midst of Burning Man, where I'm literally sobbing my eyes out, saying goodbye to the camera. And that seemed to be the sort of beautiful way to, how do you end a 12-year journey? Like, I mean, do you keep going until you build this massive spaceship, which I know it's going to get built, but when is that going to get built? Like, it was a perfect sort of, it's time to live fully in real life.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because we're here right in front of a camera, but it's like it's very meta. The more you don't want it, you get it. And you got to give it all up to get it all back. It's sort of weird laws of the universe.
Yeah, I mean, so when you started, you were pretty down and out. You broke up with your girlfriend. Like, I mean, where were you at?
Well, I mean, it started way even before that. I mean, I kind of grew up this really shy kid, and all these people around me, only child, the closest people around me all died. I died when I was 15, came back to life. I had 2 seizures out of the blue. I never figured out what happened to me. They gave me the wrong medications because of that. I went into anaphylactic shock. My heart stopped for 30 seconds. I didn't have the holy moment that everyone talks about, again, this near-death experience, complete blackness. So for me, I'm not saying this is reality. Like, I have no proof that there's anything, but just darkness. I just remember nothing but blackness. But
But there's books on this.
right. We're not going to go down that avenue, but it really just having all these experiences and just not feeling like I'm from here, or like this place is like, this is not everything, this world, like what is happening? Like I have no connection to much of anything. It's just set me searching, and the filmmaking journey kind of started out of that, and it had me go here, there, and everywhere. And
When you say not from here, I mean, I know you have this ET connection, and a lot of people listening to this have been also wondering, like, hey, wait a minute, where am I actually from? Am I in a human body right now? Like, why don't you think that you belong? Has it been a while since you incarnated?
I just look at the world around me and nothing makes sense, right? I mean, look, I think a lot more people are waking up to this. It's I'm from the future, and I literally took all these insane things like COVID or whatever you want to call it, for people to actually sort of like get on board with sort of the world that I'm seeing. I'm like, now you're fully seeing that things are not right. Like, I got out of the freaking womb. I'm in kindergarten playing in the sand, drawing vitamins, where all these kids are playing on the jungle gym. Like, I was like, what is happening? I can't tell you where exactly I'm from because I have no memory of that. I'm sure that's somewhere in my subconscious, but just nothing really resonant. There's not much. Yeah.
And so, okay, so you were breaking up with your girlfriend, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, well, a series of things happened, right, that led you on this path.
It just got me going everywhere, doing this, doing that, you name it, and nothing really sort of hit the spot. And it got to the place where I'm like, if I really want to create a path in my life, I have to create it, And I found a piece of land, and it was really beautiful and magical. I had this girlfriend. We had this idea to start a smaller version of this community. It's going to take a long time, do it in our backyard. She broke up with me. Then I was remodeling this house, and like I was doing demo, and I'm not very coordinated, and a sledgehammer, and I'm knocking, this cabinet down, and then boom, I lose the grip. It knocks my freaking teeth out. I end up in Mexico, having major oral surgery in Mexico, which you don't do. They were freaking out. I had a bad, massive blood clot in my mouth. I mean, and my face blew up like I had a massive bee sting me like 1,000 times. It's just these like events, and I kept remodeling, kept having more struggles. Then it got to the place where I had this beautiful rainbow shipping container. I had this really great murals. This commissioned mural is really beautiful. It's like a symbol for this, Rainbow Bridge community. Then the county gives me a letter saying you can't have this, and we're going to fine you $10,000 a day. And then that led me to start a TikTok, and then like the journey of self-sovereignty, of what we can and can't do on our own land, that became viral. Then I went to go speak at the Senate to try to pledge for more religious rights, because I thought the religious angle was the way to get maybe more vending freedom within the permits, and all these things. And like literally it got to the place where I'm like, I'm done fighting. And like the opportunity came to bring the container to Burning Man, be part of these fly ranch people brought it to Burning Man, had this great revelation. And now it's not about the location. It's having less attachment to where it's going to happen. It's more of an idea. And the idea now seems to be leading me to Miami. We'll see if that happens. But yeah.
Yeah, Miami, you were explaining to me, is now being called the Magic City because they're blocking out 18 miles. So
it's like so basically the nickname of Miami, which I didn't even know about this, is the Magic City. I'm not exactly sure.
Of innovation.
Well, Magic City is like the official nickname, and this group of people, these developers, are calling this district the Magic City District of Innovation.
Right.
And they're trying to create a whole, like, you name it, they got it. And this whole walkable campus. And You
Which
know,
is great because I think we need more spaces where we draw a little line around it and say, if we could do anything, this is what we would want to do. And then you can have tourism saying, okay, cool. This is a great community. It has tiny homes and it has trailers and it has this incredible central location. Like your Starship, 15 shipping containers, off-grid, communal kitchen, co-working, you know, a garden, you know what I mean? Garden, like space for 500 people to get. And the thing is, it's like kids these days, they don't want to like pay $200,000, $300,000 for a house that they're paying the rest of their life. They want to be free. They want to do more of what they love. And so that's a tiny house. But like you said, there's nowhere to put it, right? Because
you got these zoning, just absolute, just these laws that are archaic, and we're not quite there yet, really fully, for doing things that are like writing a new road. But in essence, you just have to have some kind of concept. And I had this really beautiful container that I brought to Burning Man, and I put this really great solar system in it. It's like a mobile solar generator. I was pumping AC at Burning Man in these massive dust storms. It was awesome. And like within that, I have this ceremonial room. We had a DJ play. It's all black lit with these neon printers, which you helped spray paint some of those printers. And it's called the Smash Room because I had those anger issues in my life, and I loved, bashing printers. And I thought I was going to always people at Burning Man, bash printers. But then I had this revelation while I was doing MDMA. I've done it in a ceremonial way 3 times, which I think is going to be the future of healing PTSD, depression, anxiety. But in the essence of me doing all that, I'm like, I don't want to destroy this. I look at this beautiful wall of printers. I'm like, this is like a shrine that my anger created. So anyway, we had a DJ play. It's this beautiful karaoke room.
wait, you guys never smashed the printers.
5. I had 5 people. And that's it. They got it, and it was beautiful. And like, that's retired. The Smash Room's retired for smashing printers, but it's got this beautiful karaoke room. I've got this old school bus that's just been a nightmare because an old school bus, I wouldn't recommend it. 1970 Bluebird. We had to really restore the whole freaking thing. But within that, we have a tonic bar, and I've got this really cool modular oud house from Estonia. It's all mirrors. So from the outside, it's one way. It's like a one-way mirror, and the inside, it's all completely glass. We'll put some stuffed animals in there. It'll be a meditation room, do breath work, a little bit of cuddling. So like, I got these 3 things that right now I can't put them on my own land, the 50 acres. So it's just like I got led to Miami. It's like this where crypto and art and real estate seem to be all merging. And the whole thing now is I got these developers that really love my concept, and it's really just creating a pop-up experience with like the container, the bus, and this oud house, and this rainbow holographic van I got, just to start it, right? It's not about living in community, it's creating an experience that would then foster a more permanent location in the future.
Yeah, so this is a really good, like a lesson to a lot of people. So Tim has this huge idea of building this whole community. Maybe we even play that video of the Arcturus, how it looks. Let's do that right now. But the trick is like, yeah, like getting it into 3D is a whole nother situation. Sometimes it takes doing it in pieces. And this is like an incredible pop-up that he's doing in Miami, which is arguably the most futuristic, most exciting city in the US right now, because there's Art Basel. It's the center of art in the world right now, or in the US. They're creating a digital twin of the city. They're also using blockchain. They're using a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, to work with the city government and the citizens to figure out where to spend the money. So it's like the first time where citizens have a say over the budget, like where should we direct these funds? So it's really a playground for innovation. And we want Sedona also to be that in the world, and other places are starting to do this all over, saying like, well, if we were to redesign stuff, what would it look like? So hold on one second. I'm going to go ahead and share this other video, the Arcturus one, where it shows kind of how Tim had, if you go to rainbowbridge.community too, you can watch this video.
Welcome to Arcturus, an oasis for digital nomads. A community where you can hook up your RV, stay in a geodesic dome, go to the gym, and shop for healthy food. At the center of it all, community members can attend live events in our spaceship. Additionally, the spaceship functions as a co-working space. And finally, members can escape the heat by taking a dip in 19 acres of private Oak Creek paradise. Sign up at rainbowbridge.community to meet us at the end of the rainbow.
Cool, Tim. That's just so awesome. It's
Welcome
like,
to our tour.
whoopsie. Oh, here we go.
An oasis for digital nomads. A community where you can hook up your RV, stay in a geodesic dome, go to the...
Oh, there we go. So it's really great to have a vision of what you're working on, and that's been helping you, right? Communicate, like, here's what we want to build, getting people behind it. And of course, you got lucky enough to have some crypto in your back pocket. Tell us about how that happened and why you think those synchronicities sometimes happen in life.
Totally. I think we're all guided, and I think some of us have maybe a little more angels along the way, and I think I have a lot of people that are helping me and guide me to what I'm supposed to be doing, even though I'm not, half the time I have no idea what it is. But you just keep following the signs. I'm a big believer that there's just all the information is here. Are we willing to see it and hear it?
Yeah.
Years ago, 2016, I'm meeting a friend and his new girlfriend down in Venice Beach.
You were 16?
No,
16 years ago.
in 2016.
Oh, 2016. Okay, perfect.
Where I was 36 and 41 now, but
yeah.
I'm meeting them, and out of the blue, I was talking about my Airbnb situation. I was doing an Airbnb in Hollywood, and I had to replace the guy that was helping me manage it for 49 days. And I'm like, this is such a random time to get someone for 49 days. And the new girlfriend of my friend was like, not at all. I go to this meditation school in Mexico, and literally they say in the 49th day, that's where the soul meets the fetus. And then I started thinking about, the number 49 a little bit more. And I started thinking
What is that? The soul meets the fetus. So the fetus is happening, and then the soul comes.
Sort of like that spot of like where
wow.
Space meets reality. It's
yeah.
sort of like it's fully in the womb now. The 49th day is the real conception, not the coming out the other end. But,
yeah.
So I started thinking more about 49, and then I started thinking, I follow a lot of interesting fringe ideas. I heard the thing about the Shemitah, which is this Jewish calendar cycle. It happens every 7 years, and usually it has to do with financial markets kind of like crashing or whatnot. And then I started thinking every 7 Shemitahs is a super Shemitah, which is a 49-year cycle, which we were in that same time. A guy next to me was like, you know about the Shemitah? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, hey man, do you have any Bitcoin? I'm like, man, I am all about, I hate the banks. I'm not, believe me, I'm all for that, but I just don't understand it, man. It's too technical. And he's like, dude, it's very simple. Just promise me, if I teach you these couple things, you got to buy it today. And it's like, if you don't do it, then it'll be the worst decision in your life. And that was my crypto journey.
Did that echo in your mind? If you do not buy it, it'll be the worst.
Yeah. And that was at a time in 2016 where this was not mainstream culture. Like now it's mainstream. $600.
$600. What is it now?
I think it's like 18,000.
Okay.
So the crypto journey has always been a big part of it, and I invested early, and it's done really well. And I haven't took money out at the top, which you've done, I think, a much better job at that. But it's still there. It's like my savings account, and I think down the road it could definitely help with when these things get further into fruition to help.
Yeah. What do you think is happening right now with crypto? What do you think is happening with them with crypto?
It's the infancy stages, right? It's sort of like, everyone think it's right here, right now, but really it's the building of imagine the internet in, 95, right? So it's the wild, wild west. I have no clue where it's going, but it's the counterpart to what the banks and sort of mainstream financial markets are. I mean, some of it is intersected, but I do like anything that is sort of, at least it's fundamental anti-banks.
Yeah. What do you not like about banks?
Well, the thing about it is there's a new law that was passed during COVID, and everyone, I talked to my cousin last night. It's like they have this insurance policy where they're $250,000. They're supposed to back you if any FDIC, whatever the heck that means, if something happens. Whatever that means. But even during COVID, they never had a responsibility to have any money, and there was probably a small amount that was still. But it passed the law.
Loan it out.
Right. But they passed the law literally during COVID that they literally have to have 0% of your funds in their bank. It's all traded out. And I think we might see a massive time where the banks just shut down. They're like, sorry, your money was never here.
Well, it's not there, but
like you can't retrieve it.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, so, but that, yeah, I mean, so that'll be an interesting thing to move through. I mean, you were talking about how there's some astrological things that we're really looking to, like, this is a gift of redesign, and it is very difficult, just like you getting your teeth knocked out, you losing, your girlfriend, like all these things. I mean, it was interesting because before we started the interview, we were saying like, yeah, like I feel grateful because that was the process that I needed to go through to get to where I am today. So in a sense, in a larger sense, like, yeah, we're getting our teeth knocked out. You know what I mean? Like this is a complete breakdown, but people, so it's a painful, birth. But on the other side of it, there's people like you who are saying, this is the way I want to live. And we need to create the RV park of the future, because digital nomads want to live in community, and we want to share stuff, and we want to be around other people. Like we're missing the community part, you know what I mean? And I feel like there's momentum now, like you said, people have found each other. Like there's enough networking that's been happening now that groups like are starting. Like I was looking Ascendia DAO the other day, and it's like all these projects are really like seed crypto. It's all starting to root. And it's because of your persistence of vision. Like, did you ever want to quit, or did you know that you're building this, right? Or
I mean, yeah, I wanted to quit like every day, it's sort of, but then what's my other alternative? Like, like depending on what in the world that I even really relate to. So it's just been this process of just like, you get knocked down, then you get inspired again. So really it's like, what can get you to the place where like you're inspired? Because that's really the essence about the being of inspiration. And with that, nothing needs to be built, but that's the fuel. And like, if you don't have the fuel, forget trying to do anything.
Yeah. So one of the lessons that I've been learning recently is this idea of like arriving already. So not waiting for the ship to be built to find your community, which is the revelation you had when you turned off the camera for Burning Man, because you were like, oh, wow, all my best friends came to help me at Burning Man. And here I am, like in the middle, here I am with all my best friends. This is amazing. So yeah, living in that present moment of saying like, oh, is there anything that I would want to change? Like enjoying the journey, you know what I mean? That whole idea, you know what I mean? So on our way to building these cities, we have to practice all the other stuff, like sharing and like all this other stuff, you know what I mean? What do you think are there, well, like what's a day in the life of your pop-up in Miami, for example? Because you've got the stuffed animal pit, which is hilarious, right? And you've got people coming together, and it's a nexus point, right? For people to meet each other, to have those synchronicities where all of a sudden you're meeting your next boyfriend or your next investor, or your next partner that's going to go down to the Miami beach. Like what have you seen happen in your spaces so far, and what do you imagine is going to happen in Miami?
Like the best example I can give, like I said earlier, was just this camp that we had at Burning Man for a week. And not only did I have these 10 people, friends that came all around the world, and the way that they intersected and came together was pure magic. And it's funny that maybe I'm headed toward the magic city, because like there's so much magic in my life, and there's so many things that I can't explain. Like the levels of how these people came together is like a whole other, we have not enough time to talk about, but pure absolute magic. And what was happening, when we were there at Burning Man, we had this beautiful container, and we had a few people smash a few printers. We had a DJ performance. We had just people gather and have deep conversations. I took part in like a ceremony with my best friend with MDMA, and like it was just breakthrough. And that's where I started just to stop being a filmmaker. That's when I said, we're not going to smash stuff anymore. It's like all these really beautiful sort of insights. And, it was there because there was a container to keep that. So we just need safe places where we feel safe enough to have these deep, honest conversations. Because if anything, we're here to just speak our truth. And we need supportive environments to do that. And around that were all these beautiful people doing these really regenerative, sustainable projects that also got picked to the Fly Ranch, and met these new people. And it was just a horrible experience at the same time, because it's like so difficult to be at Burning Man. You're facing your stuff, like there's no escaping you. But really it's like, you know, day in, day out, there's nothing else but us, you know, and in reality, like that's all it boils down to, is like the people you're around. Hopefully they inspire you. Hopefully they're doing an inspirational project like yourself. And you come together as a hub, like sort of an inspiration hub to help foster your thing, my thing, their thing. And it's like a little leap pad, a little jumping on a little leap pad to get you to a support system, because you have enough support around you. Whatever hardships are going to happen, because they will happen, it won't be so hard to get back up. But if you're on your own and you get knocked your teeth down, which I was back, you know, a year and a half ago, it's hard to get back up.
Yeah. So speaking of community, you guys, we're doing a whole breakout session. We're going to start it now, but we're also going to do one on the third Saturdays of every month. And this is kind of a networking, expansion, support, experiencer. It's all those things in 1 hour long call. We're going to have an experiencer talk about a mind-blowing experience that maybe disoriented them, you know, but had a breakthrough on the other side. We're going to have half an hour for people to connect with each other, and then we're going to come back and share. So it's not going to be recorded or anything. It's just a time for us to be in community. And we're also going to do that right now for 20 minutes. And then we're going to come back and close the session and get any questions. So if you want to join a breakout group now, I'm going to put the instructions in. And I want to talk to you while I'm setting this up about MDMA, because, you know, I'm pretty like, you know, my whole thing is like, wow, we had the 60s and it was really great. And they had all these great ideas, but they were smoking too much pot. They couldn't eat. Well, they did do a lot, but they didn't like fully break through to this new thing that we're building. And so, but then there's these plant medicines here that are done in a therapeutic way. Like you said, you did it 3 times and it actually opened your heart. And I'm thinking, wow, I was going to ask you, did it rewire your brain? But actually that MDMA is actually made to open your heart, right? So we have our heart barricaded and sometimes it's hard to let the love in, right? Talk about what your experience was with that while I set up the breakout groups. If you don't want to join it, you can just hit no.
Sure. You know, I think if you look at the world right now, like we're all in a PTSD loop, whether it be the stresses of just trying to make it a food on the table, or, you know, the battles with COVID, or you want to name it. We're just in what happens when you get so deep into that PTSD loop, your mind just keeps looping. You're so far away from your heart. And I was deep in a PTSD loop. I had this, you know, 2 breakups. I had this remodel that was very challenging to me. I had the county coming after me. It was just this numerous events back to back that I was just almost spinning. And I had a friend come to me and I said, "How you doing?" And out of the blue, he's like, "I've never been better, man. I've had depression, anxiety my whole life, but I finally found something that really see the light at the end of the tunnel." I did MDMA therapy with therapists, and I seeked out. I'm like, dude, I want to hear more. And, you know, the journey sort of started with me reaching out to this therapist, and we spoke 5 times just about certain issues in my life. And then I went to go meet with her, and I was just me and her, and I had a blindfold, and I had some headset on, listened to some music and a weighted blanket, and I went on my own little journey. And I think the first journey was all about sort of like, I've never done MDMA, by the way, and I don't really advocate, you know, massive drug use at all. But, you know, MDMA in a safe container, I think, has a lot of really great attributes. So I'm sitting there, you know, literally feeling very good on the couch for hours on end. But really, it's cultivating that compassion towards, you know, my mom, which has been a big struggle in my life, my ex-girlfriend, and me. And it just sort of really started to open up a lot of opportunities, even like right afterwards. Like the minute that I left my experience, a week later, there was this camp out of this place called the Fly Ranch, which I got accepted to build the Starship. And within that time, one of the guys came up to me and was like, "Hey man, we're starting a Burning Man camp. We want you to bring your container." And like that was the start of that journey. So that was like the big breakthrough, not big breakthrough, but a big opportunity that was created literally days after I first did MDMA. Then I got led to some people in Phoenix did this amazing trauma release massage. You not only are you on MDMA, but you're on ketamine, and both those two drugs were actually invented for PTSD. So you're doing that. They're doing this. Their feet are on an electrical grid. They're electrical stimulating you, massaging you while you're on the substances. The ladies from Laos, she's stomping on your back. The guy's playing a didgeridoo underneath your back. You're being vibrated. They're singing. They're dancing. They're in a trance. And they've got people that walk. They're in paraplegics, like people that experience Jesus, like you name it. And it was by far one of the most special healing experiences of my life. A week later, I meet a new girlfriend, and then the third time was my own experience. And I created this container, this really beautiful ceremonial space that I thought was for anger, but really it's the perfect place to do a transformational journey of potentially MDMA. And my best friend I've been through hell and back with was there. And it was a miracle he got there, and we're just sitting there and we're doing it together. We're the massive party at Burning Man, and me and my friend lying on a unicorn in a slot, doing our journey. And, I think just if you can do it with someone you feel so close with that you've never done that with before, like the amount of communication was happening, the amount of just the breakthroughs of just all these, like he came up with these lines of pure channeling. Like he's like, Tim, you've been searching for community your whole freaking life, but it's been there all along. And just like,
whoa, you've been searching for community your whole life, and it's been there all along.
Just like these
why couldn't you connect with it?
Well, I think because I had to go through those journeys, and like I still don't fully feel it all the time, right? Like I felt it at Burning Man because they're all there.
But you will when you have your thing.
Totally, but you forget these things. That's why it's so important to have these environments that I'm trying to create, because these people, like my community isn't just in Sedona, right? My community is all over the world because I've done all these different things.
Yeah.
But they're all happened to come from here to there at Burning Man. So it just the whole journey of doing MDMA really, you still got to do the work, and I'm still not like, I'm great, I'm doing well,
Yeah, someone in the chat said MDMA is great, but it's temporary. Find someone and fall in love. I guess that's like,
we got to fall in love with yourself first.
Oh, the radios are going. Oh,
you got to fall in love with yourself, fall in love with somebody else. That's the ultimate therapy. But before you do that, a place to get you to that heart space, which maybe you don't have that with yourself or a loved one, the MDMA can be that. And the thing I like about it, and like you don't get addicted. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, to be honest. It's a soft opener to the heart. And you've got, and I'm talking a lot about plant medicine here. I've not done a lot, but I've done ayahuasca twice. Nothing happened. And you've got these people doing ayahuasca, doing DMT, doing bufo, like all these things to inevitably get you to the heart space, which is great. But if you suffer from PTSD, you suffer from depression and anxiety, mental illness, flirt around with that, you don't have the opportunity to have a bad trip. Like MDMA is the gateway to get back to the heart space without potentially any consequence. But the aliens agree.
Yeah, the radios are going off. I should probably go turn them off. But yeah, so that's so wild. Like, why is heart the gateway to magic, and why does it get blocked?
I think it's a simple formula, and it's called fear. We're all so worried about how people perceive us, what people think of us. It's false experiences appearing real. And like when you're trying to like do something, a lot of times you're in your head. And when you're in your head, you're not in your magical space. The magic's in the heart. But how are you gonna get in the heart? Expressing yourself, like literally being completely free to say whatever you want all the time.
So I was just in a workshop, a circling workshop in Skull Valley at the Juniper Wells like retreat center. And this guy goes around and he says, all right, so when, we're doing this like one-on-one thing with another person, and he's like, when you're in your head, say head, and when you're thinking, say thinking, when you're sensing, say sensing, and when you're feeling, say feeling. All I could do was think. I could barely sense people, and I definitely couldn't feel people. And I was like, oh no. And then we did a circle. And like you said, we had to just say what exactly was on our mind, no matter what. And not only did we see our personality splayed out, you know what I mean? Like, so we saw ourselves in each other. But you're right, our heart opened because it was okay to be authentic and ourselves. And it was the most mind-blowing experience. I'm still like feeling it. And it's like 24 hours ago. It was just like, so I guess in this week coming up, or this couple of weeks, you know, Tim is going to be doing a workshop on the 8 things that you can use to super balance your life. And one of the things we get to practice in these couple of weeks too is being authentic, right? Because I guess when you're not authentic, what is it? That's when you barricade your heart.
Yeah. You're getting away from the magic.
Well, so let's talk about the magic. Where does the magic come in? When does it come in for you the most? Like
when you're vulnerable, right? Like when you're just fully not being in fear, like you're just going out there and like you're living on that edge. You're living on the edge. Like that thin line between the head and the heart, that thin line between heaven and hell, that thin line between Jesus and the devil. Like none of them are right or wrong, by the way. Like they're all justified. Like I think we often think that the heart's good, the head's bad, Jesus is good, the devil's bad. Like all these like duality is the old world. Like all of those things are us. So if we don't like one of those things, we're not liking ourselves. We got to like ourselves, all aspects of that. So be vulnerable in that complete scope of who we are. And when you do that, magic has to exist, but it's accepting the shadow and not just the light. And that's where the magic can fully develop.
how do you accept the shadow? Like,
you know, it's your friend. It's your protective. It's the ego. You know, it's there to serve a purpose. And really, like when you're feeling uncomfortable, a lot of that is when that comes up. But it's really like it's just a feeling. It's giving me information. I'm going to accept this and love this, and there's nothing to be scared of. Because if I don't love full avenues of me, how's someone else going to love full avenues of me?
right.
And then we're going to just spiritually bypass our whole lives, just live in the light, and like we're made of both.
So what does spiritual bypass mean?
You're just trying to like, everything's great, everything's golden, I'm living in the light. Like all of this sort of like this good, and it's like not looking at anything else. Good, you know.
Yeah.
It's just really having those like uncomfortable conversations with people, uncomfortable conversations with yourself, like fully to a place where you can hopefully be authentic all the time. I think that's not, you know, when you're spiritual bypassing, you're not being authentic to yourself and maybe other people.
Yeah. And when we're authentic, so another thing they were teaching us was that when you look at someone in the eye, you can't be mad at them. I think that's what they said. So that's interesting, right? And I don't know why that is, but it's probably like saying, I don't mean to be angry or sad or mean right now, but I'm feeling completely overwhelmed or whatever, right? And so then how can that happen? Then it's still connected. You're still connected to each other and the universe and all that is, right? Because when we disconnect, maybe that's when the magic doesn't happen.
Yeah, because there's a block then, because the block is like, I'm not expressing how I feel, and someone's like, what's going on? They're feeling something, but they don't even know what. And then like you think you're present with the other person, but yet something else is happening because someone else is feeling, or both people are feeling a certain thing. And like, how is magic going to exist when there's like this energetic block that's not being addressed?
Right. So it's kind of like a flow that exists. How would you describe flow? So flow and trust have been a big like topic in the last couple of days too. We close our heart because we stopped trusting, right? You stopped trusting the world when you lost your dad and all the stuff, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with PTSD. We all have this trauma, right? It's the trauma lives in our body. And if you don't get to a place where like, obviously, I don't know when you fully let go of the trauma, maybe there's a place and time, but like accepting the trauma, like just whatever I'm feeling, like I'm feeling it, and don't attach a story to the trauma. Just feel the trauma, feel something in your body and just feel it and embrace it. And if you're around someone and like you're not feeling a certain way, maybe just express like, I'm really feeling uncomfortable right now. Not you, just there's something right now that's being brought up that I feel uncomfortable. And hopefully people can accept it. They're not going to take it personally. That's the thing. It's like, I'm just feeling this. I'm not saying it's you. It's just the dynamic that's created between us both. I'm feeling this way. Like that's uncomfortable. That's a weird, awkward conversation. Like not afraid to be awkward is a beautiful thing. And I'm not fully there. I'm getting closer, but
yeah. We were thinking, me and Ayala, my roommate, was thinking the other day, we're like, we need to have practice conversation spaces for these difficult conversations when you don't even know how to have the conversation, right? And so it's like, oh, can I do it in a practice space? You play my like whatever, my mom or my friend or whatever, and let me practice how I would say something totally uncomfortable, right? Because but then once you do it, like you said, it's kind of liberating because this guy doesn't fall. And then you're like, oh, they didn't get totally mad. They were like, yeah, I was feeling that too. Or like, that's always the funny one. You're like, I don't want to tell them. And then they're like, oh, I was feeling, you know what I mean? Or whatever, right? So interesting the way that works out.
we're always trying to impress people, you know, and really, I think the way you can truly impress someone is to be real, you know, like, it's like, I did this, I did that, you know, it's like, I mean, all that, but really it's like, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once again, in 2 weeks, Tim's going to come back and he's going to be talking about his 8 areas of balance in his life. And it's going to be a workshop for LightNet members. So if you go to lightnet.org/join, you can be part of our community. This is a learning by doing community. So not only do we support each other, but we actually go through it by doing it, you know what I mean? By learning it. So it'll be interesting. Maybe we can dedicate the next month, the board call, to figuring out like, okay, you know, how did it work for people, right? Because when we have an area of our life that's out of balance, then when that one thing does fall down, then there's nothing to support it. So I think it's going to be a really great experience for us to understand from Tim's point of view. And he's worked with a lot of different people over the years to really become his best self and be his best self. And so all that knowledge is wrapped into the system, which is really great. So,
and also when you're more balanced, right? Like when a lot of these 8 needs are met, like when those circumstances that come up that are like, I'm feeling this way, it's a lot easier to address them when we've gotten the right sleep, when we've drank enough water, we've eaten the right food. We're like it's harder when like we don't sometimes realize we didn't do those things. So of course it's hard to say what we want to say when we're like sleep deprived, eating bad food, you know, dehydrated, like these simple things that we forget about because we're so consumed in something. Yeah. Because that's our life.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's been a big revelation that, I mean, just the water and the food. Like
and sleep. Oh. Those are the 3 fundamentals.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone was saying a lot of the food we eat has 0 life force and some of it has negative life force. So in other words, you're having to give your life force in order to process a food that has negative life force. Like berries or something like that, strawberries, and there's like super life source, you know what I mean? And then there's some food like this, like literally, like we got to have a map of this. We got to interview my friend David, and he's going to tell us what's what.
Right.
It's like, and then I've heard the same thing about water. If you don't drink enough water, your blood is completely like can't even move around. How are you gonna how's it gonna go to your brain? How is it gonna go to your heart? You know, if it's not even moving, right? Yeah, interesting, right? So we're going to be bringing people back from the breakout groups soon. And I wanted to talk to you about your tarot cards because I always remember you sometimes like you flipping through them and then asking a question, what role did that play in your life and what does it now? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, you know, if you guys don't know, tarot cards, they're kind of an interesting thing. It actually came from the Kabbalah form of Judaism. And it was a big part of my life for many, many years. And it's a way that I create my own system of accessing my higher self. And a lot of people throw, spreads. And I had a system where I just pull a card, say yes, no. There's 70 some odd cards in the deck. 50 were in my mind good, 20 were not so good. So, a way for me to make decisions, because honestly, like a lot of time I don't have any guidance of what to do. So I have to go somewhere. And I made a lot of moves, I probably bought a property from flipping a card, like you name it, but I've tried to shift it from that to just sort of have faith in my own decision of late. The last probably year, it's definitely shifted away from that. But I think they're a great tool for some people to maybe like they're so far from their intuition that they can grab a deck and start just like asking a yes or no kind of system that be really helpful along your journey. There's different steps along the journey.
Sounds like muscle testing. Have you ever done yes, no?
There's that.
Yes, no thing, right?
There's different ways to just get to our higher self, right? Because we're all being guided. It's just we're being blocked off by what? We're not being vulnerable. We're not eating enough. We're not sleeping enough. All these like things that are blocking the flow. What's the flow? It's just being balanced. I think that's the flow.
Yeah. Being connected, staying connected, being balanced. So I wanted to spend a couple minutes on the future of crypto and NFTs and tokenizing properties and things like that. So you're kind of at the forefront of, and you always have been since I've known you, of really looking. So explain to people the basics of how this works. I mean, I think everyone knows what an NFT is, right? It's a thing, non-fungible token, meaning it's something that cannot be replicated. There's only one of them. It goes somewhere, and so we know where it went and who bought it and how much it's for, and like it's a thing that is known and it's one. So that structure on the blockchain, and the blockchain is something that can't be. It's like writing something in permanent marker. I always say. It exists. There's a record of it, and it's a public record. It's not behind closed doors. It's not shoved in it's not on paper. It's not shoved. Like everyone knows what happened to that thing. So it makes transactions really faithful and truthful because no one is lying about what happened. Who read it? Who didn't read it? Who sent the money? Who didn't send the money? How much did it cost? How did you sell it? What did it cost? Whatever. It's all now open. It's like transparent, right? So how does this apply to real estate? What are people doing with NFTs in the real estate world?
I mean, the reason why I sort of like the combo of crypto and real estate is a lot of the crypto world, like me, who's been around it for 6 years, I don't really understand a lot of it. It's stuff it's up in the stars. It's it's an algorithm that creates numbers that mines more coins or whatever. But I like the real estate component of involvement with crypto because it grounds it, and like everyone's sort of, there's so many people involved in real estate, and the process of real estate is just, there's just so many freaking middlemen. Like, what are a lot of these agents really doing? Not a whole lot. So yeah, there's been a few recent things in the last given time where people are selling their property as an NFT, and it's an auction, and people can put a highest bid. You get your home. There's like 3 steps you got to do. You get your inspection, you get title insurance, and basically set an auction, highest price, bidder does it. Boom! Within an instance, the title is like the NFT is the title. It's set as you set your property and to be an entity like an LLC, and then the LLC literally is transferred with the NFT, and then boom, like that, you've got a really easy transaction that normally takes 30 days and all this freaking paperwork.
Oh, interesting.
There's all this like that red tape of like, if you ever bought a freaking house, like the first person that said they bought this as an NFT was like, I want to do this because I was scared to like buy a house, and like the amount of paperwork you sign is
it's
monumental. And I think the future, like everything's gonna be shifting towards that. It's still very new.
Timeshare, right? Timeshare using NFTs where people could crowdfund. Oh, we're not supposed to say that, right? You're not supposed to really use crypto and NFTs as an investment, as like stocks, right? But you could say everyone gets an NFT and has 2 nights in your spaceship, right? Or how would that work? And
I'm no expert in that either, but it's sort of like you hear this word in crypto, like tokenization. It's just a way that people can get like a micro investor, and it is kind of like you didn't want to say it before, but it's a way to like your stakes in it in a very small amount. Like it's a micro investment where they get, 2 weeks, you buy, you break this 40-acre piece of land into 500 little sections, and each person can have a piece of the pie and stay there for, you set them a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the future of where we're headed. And how many people really have a lot of money to be spending on a full house? Not a lot. So it's a way that people can sort of live in different places all the time, like this Airbnb model that a lot of digital nomads are already doing.
Yeah. And that's the vision, by the way. So Tim's going to have multiple of these Octra Starship in well, we don't even know where, and then a Syrian one, right? A different one. So these are massive community centers that can be a hub for people to come together. You can have your tiny home, because in the central space, there's the big kitchen, the meeting space, the 3D printer, the whatever, right? All the stuff, right? So that's really exciting. So in closing, before we go to some questions from members, and again, if you're watching this on CAN TV, you can join at lightnet.org/join, get in the breakout groups, also be here to ask questions and things like that. But for our final question for the CAN broadcast, what do you want to say to the world with your life? Like, why are you here?
That's the $1 million question. I think if anything, what really sort of gets me is the culture we live in right now, and it's all about like everyone's pointing the finger at somebody else. And I think if you have an issue with somebody, it's really about pointing the finger back in, because really everyone is just giving you information of your internal reality, and it's healing. Like I think the world really needs to take a new take on healing in a fun, like to heal is a party. To heal is the revolution. It doesn't have to be painful. Part of it is, but if you have the right support around you, it's a giant party. And like, I want to create all these communities, and we got to get people to go and visit and do this. But in essence, that's really sort of the shiny thing to get people to want to like look within, because the revolution's an internal one. That's it.
Yeah. Wow, that was beautiful. Tim, where can people find you in your journey?
Yeah, I'm not too active on social media these days. I quit, the whole filmmaking journey, but there's still, I do some stories here and there. It's the Rainbow Guru on Instagram. It's Rainbow Guru on TikTok. Rainbowbridge.community is the website. So if you want to get on those, you'll get the updates. The thing is,
cult, right?
Join the cult. The cult is right. If you want to follow the journey, it looks like it might be doing a 3-month pop-up in Miami. Not guaranteed right now, but it's looking very promising. So that might be the first spot in the spring. And if you want to come down, the first place to know about it would be the Instagram, TikTok, and the website. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim, for being you. You're a refreshing reminder that we can chase to the other side of the rainbow. It's colorful over there. I don't want to say it's painful getting there, but yeah, we're going to trip a bunch of times on the way to get it. We're going to skin our knee and whatever, but we're going to have
tripping
fun.
can be fun. It's a double entendre. There's magic, the other side of the rainbow. And maybe I've actually gotten to the other side of the rainbow because Magic City is inviting me in. So I'm not saying I'm there, but it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so I want to open it up right now to questions from the group. Does anybody have a question that they want to ask him? You can type it in the chat, or we can pull you up on the screen here. If you want, you can do the reactions and just raise your hand. Cool. So we weren't going to do question and answer anymore because we're going to do this thing. But then we decided to keep doing the Hangouts and keep doing the Q&A because life is participatory. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it. Come on. We can just talk, can't we?
Well, yeah, we're just going to be on for a little bit more, but do you have a question that you want?
No, I just want to say hi to this guy. I love him. He's wonderful. I'm a rainbow myself. I've been to so many gatherings, and I'd like to get to know him really well. So I'd like for you to give him my cell phone number and have him call me.
Okay, cool. This reminds me, Tim, we didn't ask you about, so I have heard that the Rainbow Bridge is actually your chakra system. And when it's all in a line, when you're not giving too much, you're not taking too much, when you're not like too in your inner world or outer world, you're not self versus family, all the stuff, right? That's really when the keys come and the magic and stuff like that. But what was the deal with the rainbow and how has it evolved? Like,
well, there's all these like connotations with the rainbow bridge, all these things, and they're beautiful, right? But like for me, the big revelation was I saw a truck driving down the street with this holographic rainbow wrap, and I was like in love, like I was drooling. It's like I found the love of my life, and it was a truck in a rainbow wrap. And I was like, I bought this van, this huge Sprinter van. I'm like, I'm gonna freaking blast this huge Sprinter van with this chrome holographic wrap. And I just looked at it, I'm like, call it the Rainbow Bridge, and there's just so many layers. Like a lot of people use that as where the bridge where pets go to die. Like everyone thinks I'm helping pets transition.
Really?
It's the big one. Or the Jimi Hendrix song, like,
Yeah, I was going to say Jimi Hendrix.
He made an album called The Rainbow Bridge.
He made a movie in Hawaii. He made a movie, I think, on Maui called Rainbow Bridge.
I'm a huge Jimi Hendrix fan. I like Jimi Hendrix, but I'm not like, it's not this major influence in my life, or like it's a Native American prophecy where, they say the rainbow prophecy is where all colors of the rainbow come together and we change the world. And like, I'm all about for that too, but that wasn't sort of, and now I'm just enmeshed in this rainbow philosophy that goes way beyond anything. But I mean,
we're called the Rainbow Warriors of Light. We get together on the 4th of July every year, and we did it for 50 years. The Rainbow Warriors of Light. What is the 4th?
4th of July. How interesting.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look, I love you guys a whole bunch, and I don't want to take up your time, but one day we'll get a Zoom show of mine, and you can join me. How's that?
Sounds great.
That sounds great.
I love it.
Cool.
Namaste. Namaste. I love you. Love you. Love you.
Awesome, you guys. If there's no final questions, we'll end here. But I think that it's significant that everybody has their version of what the rainbow is, but it was just your joy. It was like you were like, I love that. You know what I mean? And people had that same reaction. You have some clips on stuff. You lit people up in that van. Should we close with that other video? That video has the van video?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. And in reality, like it's not even just lit people up. Like I made like lifelong friends from the van that came up to me because they saw the van, and really? 2 of those friends came to Burning Man with me, right? So it's like it's pretty profound what inspiration will do.
All right, you guys, we're going to close tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to play this final video. We'll see you next week. We have our consortium. We also have the longer version of the community hangout, which is the support call, which is the connection call, where we're going to have synchronicities happen. So it's Saturday morning at 8 a.m. That way we have people on the East Coast, and we also have a day of the week that's not a work day. So that's great. And here we go. So here's this incredible video of Tim's.
I'd like you all to go on a little journey with me through a gateway to a whole new reality. Just imagine, what if the whole world looked like this van? Like you look at all these homes, they look standard, they look like boxes. I look at nature. Nature has color. There's like some mountains in Peru, and they call it the painted mountains. Have you looked at hummingbirds? They're freaking neon. So like we have just stepped away from potentially what nature's giving us as inspiration. I feel like we live in a muted world. So when you throw in neon in the mix, it shakes up this whole muted world. This van has been a magnet to every single walk of life. And that's how we transcend to a whole new reality through dynamic art. That's what a rainbow bridge is. And that whole concept has inspired me to take the rainbow bridge philosophy to go way beyond a van and actually into a whole new community. A community in which you don't just look at art in a museum, you live in it. A place where being bold is praised. Come stay at the Rainbow Bridge community. Let's live outside the freaking box.
Awesome, cool. Let's live outside the box, you guys. Let's live in community. Let's live in connection. We love you guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah.